Here's something that might surprise you. Studies show we spend nearly 47% of our waking hours lost in anxious thoughts about the future, rather than experiencing the present moment. But what if the ancient Stoics had already figured out the antidote to our modern anxiety epidemic?
Oh wow, that statistic really hits home. Just this morning, I caught myself spiraling about next week's deadlines before I even got out of bed.
You know what's fascinating about that? Research from Harvard actually shows that this kind of anticipatory anxiety activates the same brain regions as physical pain. The Stoics understood this connection centuries ago.
So you're saying our ancestors might have had better tools for mental peace than we do with all our modern technology?
Well, consider this. While anxiety disorders have increased by 25% globally since 2020, the core principles of Stoic philosophy have remained remarkably effective. They understood that peace isn't found in controlling external circumstances.
That's really interesting. But how do we actually apply that in today's hyper-connected world? It feels so different from ancient times.
The key lies in what psychologists now call the locus of control. Studies show that people who focus on what they can control experience 60% less anxiety than those who don't. It's about building what the Stoics called an inner fortress.
You know, that reminds me of something I read about mindfulness practices. Apparently, just 10 minutes of conscious breathing can reduce cortisol levels by up to 25%.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Modern neuroscience is actually validating what the Stoics taught. When we practice accepting what we can't control, we literally rewire our brain's threat response system.
So it's like we're building mental immunity rather than just treating symptoms.
Precisely. Research from Stanford shows that people who practice Stoic-like principles show increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain responsible for emotional regulation. It's like strengthening a muscle.
That makes so much sense. But what about when things are genuinely stressful, like real problems that need solving?
Well, here's something surprising. Studies show that 85% of what we worry about never actually happens. And of the 15% that does happen, 79% of people say they handled it better than they expected to.
Oh my goodness. So we're basically spending most of our energy worrying about imaginary scenarios?
Exactly right. And get this, researchers at UCLA found that labeling our emotions actually reduces amygdala activity. It's like what the Stoics said about naming our fears to diminish their power.
That's fascinating how modern science keeps validating these ancient insights. What other practical tools did they use?
One powerful technique was what we now call negative visualization, deliberately imagining challenging scenarios. Studies show this actually reduces anxiety by up to 40% when practiced regularly.
Well, that seems counterintuitive. Wouldn't thinking about bad things make you more anxious?
You'd think so. But here's the key difference. It's about controlled exposure versus random worrying. Think of it like building psychological antibodies. The data shows people who practice this are actually more resilient when real challenges arise.
So it's kind of like emotional vaccination?
That's a great analogy. And recent research from Johns Hopkins supports this, showing that controlled exposure to stressors builds what they call stress inoculation.
I'm starting to see how this could be really practical. What's the first step someone could take to start applying these ideas?
Well, studies show that simply pausing for a 3-second breath when you feel anxious can reduce stress hormone levels by up to 30%. It's about creating that tiny space between stimulus and response.
That seems doable. And I suppose it's about building these small practices into habits over time.
Exactly. Research shows it takes about 66 days to form a new habit. The Stoics emphasized daily practice, what they called philosophical exercises. Modern psychology confirms this approach works better than trying to make dramatic changes all at once.
This conversation has been really eye-opening. It's amazing how relevant these ancient ideas still are.
And here's what I find most hopeful. Studies show that people who adopt these practices report a 40% increase in their sense of peace within just 8 weeks. It's not about achieving perfect tranquility, but building a more resilient relationship with our thoughts.
That's actually really encouraging. Like maybe we don't need to fix everything, just change how we relate to it.
Precisely. As Marcus Aurelius said, very little is needed to make a happy life. Modern research suggests he was right. Our well-being depends more on our perspective than our circumstances.